couple years back during COVID, I was doing a lot of thinking about leadership and what its role was. I was working in sales. I had a lot of bosses, and I found they had a lot of different personalities as far as what they thought leadership meant. And one of the things they would always tell me is you got to lead from the front. You got to lead from the front. And I understand where they're going. They kind of envision that general out in front, with a sword, and all the guys are behind him and they're charging somebody, and he's there with them, right? And you're like, okay, I can understand that. I can appreciate that. But in today's modern world, do you need your boss to lead you? Is leadership, in the sense of they're in the trenches with you, essential to do your job? I don't know. So sometimes I think that this idea, especially like in sales, was misguided approach, because we're not soldiers, right? We're just employees working a job. And so I don't need my boss to be a leader for everything in my life. I don't need him to do everything that I'm expected to do better than me, or be the expert on everything that I'm doing. Quite the contrary. I expect that person to focus on being a good boss. And I don't necessarily need them to be micromanaging everything that I do, but that tends to be what happens. Is they found some sort of success which allowed them to get to that promotion in the first place. Therefore, they think because they got to that position, they are now the expert on how something should be done, and therefore anyone who's below them should do it their way. And maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. But the problem with it is, are they open and humble enough to consider that it may not be optimal? It may have just been what worked for them, or what was suffice at the time. There may be a much better way of doing it. And so a true leader, in my opinion, is somebody who's more interested in knowing what his entire team is doing, not just the people who are way out in front. If you're only focused on all your successful people, you really exclude everyone else and get even less performance out of your team. The improvement to that is to, instead of you only hanging with and being this leader from the front, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, and all that, is to humble yourself and lead from the middle. Lead from the middle. Know what the worst person in the office is doing and the best person, and treat them equally, right? So maybe you have to invest a little more time in the person who's struggling to get them up. And maybe you don't have to spend as much time with the person who's doing well. But you need to be aware of what both are doing, because being a boss in a sales environment is about managing people. It's not about being the best salesperson ever, right? Or that you used to be the best salesperson ever. We don't need to be reminded every 5 minutes about how great you were, right? We get it. It's inherent with the position. You have the elevated position. You have power. You don't need to exert it over everybody. Everybody understands it. But if you approach your managerial position, your boss spot, as more of how can I get the most out of each individual that works for me, and get them to feel a sense of pride or a sense of appreciation for their job, that they're coming in each day and they're doing something that has value to them. If you can do that, you may have long-term employees. If you don't, if you're too busy hyping your own ego or spending time only focusing on the people who are doing really, really well, I think what you're going to have is constant turnover, and you're going to have a separation of everybody. And so when I wrote the book about leadership, I wanted to ask, hey, not that I'm the best leader or you are, but the question is, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, are you a leader? Do you have what it takes to be a leader? Not because of what society tells you, but because you've gone out and tested it. Or even more so, maybe you ask somebody close to you if they think that you exhibit leadership qualities. Because a lot of us can be a manager, but it takes somebody truly special to be a leader. Generally because leaders have to do something above and beyond what a manager does. And so I think it's, again, an error to conflate leadership with management. I don't necessarily think a manager is there to lead us all in some particular direction. I think they are there to make sure everything works for the company, right? A leader is somebody, maybe something more religious or political or on a particular concept, like an ideology or something. There you might exhibit more leadership. But each and every one of us can live a life that others might emulate. That would be an inspiration. Ask yourself, and that's what the book has tried to do, and that's what I really tried to explore in myself was, I don't necessarily see myself as a leader, but I do see myself as having a strong foundation of what I believe and not afraid to share it with others, in the sense of I'm not imposing myself on others. I am merely confident in what I believe and have done reasoning and come to the conclusions that I have. That can often appear to be leadership. So are you comfortable in your own skin? And as such, would you be successful as a leader? Or are you just looking at it as a way to, I don't know, put another title on your resume? And if that's the case, yeah, I get it. You got to do that in order to make more money. But I think you should probably realize that maybe a lot of the middle management positions are just that. They're managers, and it's not about you being the world's greatest leader. So I encourage each and every one of you, whether it's my book or others, is to explore your own leadership path and be honest with yourself and realize that maybe you don't have that now, but it's something you could work on so that in the future you could earn the right to be called a leader.